is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, the Rereading, Chamber of Secrets, Chapters 9 and 10, The Writing on the Wall, and The Rogue Bludger. I was going to say the Blogue Bludger. Whoops.
Glad you didn't say that.
In these chapters, Harry, maybe you should, find a bunker or something, because this guy's doing way too many favors. Everybody's after Harry. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Yeah, Harry is not safe in these chapters.
Right? Even when everybody's trying to help him, but they're just fucking him up so much worse. He's got no goddamn bones in his arm now. I forgot about that.
I did too. I forgot that spell didn't work. I mean, I wasn't surprised it didn't work considering the source. Right. But I had forgotten it happened.
Yeah, I just can't. I'm just trying to picture what an arm that has all the muscles and whatnot, but just lost the bones.
It looks like a flipper to me. In my head, he's got a flipper like a dolphin.
Oh, God. Do dolphins' flippers have muscle? I guess they must to move them.
Well, I'm sure they have muscle.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any kind of cartilage or bone. What would be cartilage?
They've got to be cartilage, right? I would think. Yeah.
Probably not bone.
Yeah, and it's got to because they have that fin soup. Shark fin soup that's a huge delicacy, so I guess there's got to be meat on it. This is what we're talking about. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Natasha.
I'm Rashawn. Bring your fish/sea mammal knowledge to Unspoiled Podcast.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about overfishing and endangered sharks in Japan.
That whaling situation is out of control.
Right? I'm just thank
God for me.
And meanwhile, somebody who actually knows what we're talking about is Greenpeace. Right. What are you fucking... I'm starting to write an angry letter.
Isn't Greenpeace the ones that go out on those rafts to circle the whale?
They are, but you know how it is with everything is problematic. Even the guys that are trying to do good probably
tell us all the terrible things to do.
Yeah,
they're not for women's rights. They're for whales' rights, but not for women's rights.
Meanwhile, some MRA is same thing. Am I right? Oh. Anyway, sorry. Oh, God. I should pose as an MRA online and just, take them down from the inside.
You should.
That'd be kind of
You can Skype and use your fucking Jon Snow voice.
Oh, my God. No, don't tempt me. Okay, I'm going to stop thinking about this immediately. So, Harry, he's standing next to what appears to be a dead cat.
Yeah.
And apparently, everybody thinks he did it, including Filch. Filch assumes that Harry saw that he was a squib.
Yeah, he goes right to that immediately.
And killed his cat.
Yeah, which is a leap because, it's one thing that, he knows that Harry saw the quick spell catalog. Mm-hmm. But to think that Harry would murder his cat because of that is quite the leap.
Yeah, it is.
And it tells us a lot about what Filch thinks of the students, which is not much. He doesn't think much of them.
It's got to be terrifying in a way to be amongst a group of kids that, at this age are just learning how to do magic, have very little in the way of a conscience or understanding of consequences, and you have absolutely no defense against them. No wonder he has manacles and shit.
Yeah, he's surrounded by people who are almost infinitely more powerful than he will ever be.
Yep.
And he's in a position of power over them, even if it's not much compared to some of the professors. But he is supposed to discipline them. Mm-hmm. And he knows, even if they don't know, he knows how much more powerful they are than he is. So it's like a weird magical version of a Napoleon complex.
Right.
Like he has to like overdo all the time. You know, he has to be extra all the time. Which I hadn't really thought about the first read. You know, what a weird, uncomfortable sort of position that Filch is in this school.
Yeah.
You know, I remember thinking in the first book, oh, how sad it must be for him to see all these people coming into their power and knowing it's never going to be him. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I ever thought about how frightening that must be.
Yeah.
Unsettling.
You know, what happens with Filch once the school's taken over in the last book?
Well,
if he's a squib, wouldn't he be like kind of a shunned or targeted?
You would think so, but he does come from a wizarding family. So maybe that's enough to cover him as long as he agrees to be their lackey.
Maybe.
You know? I mean, because he did really well under Umbridge, you know.
Yeah, that's
being
true.
her sort of lapdog. So I feel like they would, I don't know if give him a pass is the right word. I feel like they would judge him harshly and not take him seriously, but deign to let him have his minor duties, you know, and his minimal amount of power. Just because of his family, you know. Almost like it was charity to them.
Right. I'm looking it up to try and see like what happens in the later.
Yeah, I don't really remember him in the later books.
The Carrows were put in charge of discipline and punishments. Filch was kept working at Hogwarts in his capacity of caretaker. It is unknown what was made of Filch, or even if he was mistreated by the Carrows for his status of squib. Apparently, Filch lost some of his duties, as punishment seemed to be given out exclusively by the Carrows and Severus Snape. So, yeah, I guess he was just kind of...
So he kept doing, but in a much, you know, lower capacity.
Yeah.
You know, knocked him down a few notches.
Oh, and then here we are. Later on, Filch and Madame Pomfrey oversaw the evacuation procedure of underage students and those not willing to fight via the Room of Requirement. Right. I forgot about that. Right.
Yeah, he's the one that leads the Slytherins out.
He stays in the castle during the battle, even though he can't fight with magic.
Yeah, he stays, but is it ever like? I guess we're supposed to assume because he stayed, he's automatically on our side. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it wasn't clear. He just stayed. But where else would he go? You know, him staying doesn't make me feel like he's on our side at all.
Yeah,
feels like this is where he's been. Where else is he going to go? So he just hangs out there.
I'm trying to see. After the battle, he returned to his position of caretaker as he is immediately seen sweeping near the Great Hall.
So he gets his job back.
Yeah.
Maybe he just flies under the radar. He's just not important enough to...
No, that's almost worse.
It is kind of. Because he's that inconsequential.
I would love a backstory on Filch, actually. That'd be really interesting to see if he was always like this twisted, violent, bitter man that he is now, or if that was like something happened.
Yeah, I feel like that's a culmination of a lifetime of being disappointed.
Yeah.
And being fucking, you know, outshone by maybe siblings. I feel like Filch is not our only child, and that there are other siblings who had magic, and he's just the one who doesn't. You know.
Yeah. Maybe
he grows up. Maybe there's a girl he loves who doesn't love him back, which is why he has this affection for this cat. And it's the only thing that means anything to him as far as personal relationships go. So, yeah, he's distraught over what has happened to Mrs. Norris, and he should be. I did not like it the first time. I don't like it this time. It's terrible. Yeah, and when he finds out that she's not dead... You know, after Dumbledore examines her. Mm-hmm. It's still terrible, though, because she's not dead, but we can't fix her.
Why is she all stiff and frozen? Oh, he's like a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, this is when he points the finger at Harry, and then Snape steps in, as he do.
As he's wont to do.
And he's just like, so maybe Harry didn't do it. I'm sure he was, has a good excuse for not having been at the Halloween feast.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, yeah, the Death Day party. But then he's like, yeah, so why didn't you just go back down there after you were done?
Yeah,
why
because I know you must have been hungry because they don't serve food that you could eat. So, we were just tired. We went to bed. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Likely.
And he then is like, well, maybe taking Harry off of the Quidditch team for just, off the top of my head. And fucking McGonagall, what? I don't really see how that's necessary. I love her the most.
Yeah. She's like, I see what you're trying to do, Snape. And no, we're not doing that right now. Trying to turn this into your own fucking benefit by getting him off the team. So Dumbledore can't fix Mrs. Norris. He needs the mandrakes, the disgusting, terrible mandrakes, to fix her. And I think what happens next? Do they go downstairs?
First of all, I just really want to talk about, just for a second, the concept of these mandrakes. So,
oh no, I don't want to talk about them again.
They're talking about they need to reach maturity, and then we chop them up into pieces.
Yeah, it's the whole idea of the mandrakes is for me such a miss, right? It's so, all of it is terrible. The fact that they're like babies, but they're tree babies, and you grow them, but then you chop them up to use them for potions and shit. Right. Even though you just showed me that they're practically babies.
Yep.
The whole thing I could do without. All of it.
they when they mature, they at first they start throwing wild and raucous parties, and then they move into each other's pots, and that's when you know they're mature. And I'm like, oh, cool, they moved into each other's pots, and then they get viciously torn apart and decapitated in front of each other.
Yeah.
What?
And the thing, too, that's weird to me about the mandrakes is that I understand as far as magic goes, you can't do a full detail, full backstory on each ingredient, right? And each thing that exists in this world. But with the mandrakes, their deal is so specifically laid out.
Yeah.
Right? There's great care in describing what they are to us. And describing what seems to be, to me, almost sentient beings. They're able to throw crazy parties and shack up with other mandrakes.
Yep.
They seem almost like a real, if this was Star Trek, you couldn't interfere with their world. You would have, the Prime Directive would say you have to let them, do their own thing. Mm-hmm. But here, it's no, they're no different than Basil. We're just going to chop them up. You know what I mean? They're really treated like a little herb you were growing outside your kitchen. It's so bizarre. It's so weird to me. I don't like it. I do not like it.
That's fair. I never really stopped to think about it too. When they cut them, is their juice green or
right. What if the mandrake could grow and you could get what you needed from it without decapitating and killing it? That I think would be more palatable.
So you want to set up a little IV system where they can just donate some blood.
Something, right? So maybe you have a little patch of mandrakes and they exist and they do their thing and they hop in each other's plants. And when you need them, you just come and you take a little off the top.
And you just give them a little loam cookie to refresh themselves afterwards.
Right, to get their energy back up. A little cup of orange juice.
Oh my God. Somebody has to fight for mandrake rights.
Where's Hermione on this
shit? Right, exactly.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know what she was doing with the mandrakes, but I feel like it got away from her a little bit. JK, I mean. It just kind of, got out of her hands and she was like, fuck it, I got the rest of the story to tell. I can't go back and fix it. Oh.
Okay. So, when they're leaving, Harry's like, so do you think I did the right thing by like not saying that I was hearing things? And Ron's like, oh, definitely. Even in the wizarding world, hearing something nobody else can hear is not a good sign.
This was not a good idea, Harry. And you should have told somebody.
Yeah.
I haven't changed on that.
When Ron is the one saying that, yeah, no, that was a good call. Maybe that should be in itself the thing that makes you reconsider. But
he doesn't. He keeps it to himself because, that's why there are 7 books. And they talk about Filch the next couple of pages, how he is stalking the area where Mrs. Norris was attacked, almost as if he thinks he's going to catch the person who did it.
Yeah.
Which to me is really sad.
It
is. It's a little heartbreaking.
Like, what are you going to do? That's like it. Just kind of hope that they make a mistake and do something stupid.
Right.
Throwing them in detention for things like breathing loudly and looking happy.
Looking happy. I think I got detention once for that.
And this is where we get our first hint. Ginny Weasley seemed very disturbed by Mrs. Norris's fate. According to Ron, she was a great cat lover. But you hadn't really got to know Mrs. Norris, Ron told her bracingly. Honestly, we're much better off without her. Ginny's lip trembled. Stuff like this doesn't happen at Hogwarts, Ron reassured her. They'll catch the nutter who did it and have him out of here in no time. I just hope he's got time to petrify Filch before he's expelled. I'm only joking, Ron added hastily as Ginny blanched.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're seeing signs that something's not right. She's upset about something that we don't know about yet. But unfortunately, our people, our characters, aren't really paying that much attention to her.
Nope.
Not in a real way. Which, and we talked about this the first time, is not unheard of because she's someone's little sister.
Mm-hmm.
As an older brother in school, meaning Ron, who has older brothers, Fred and George and Percy, no one is really paying that much attention to Ginny. Mm-hmm. Everything is being chalked up to her being young, being sensitive, it being her first year. She's not being taken seriously.
Yeah, this is like just, the kid that you wait to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You come over and they're like hanging out in the living room with your friend that you're there to see. And you plop down on the couch and you're just like, just go do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes me feel bad for how things end up for her.
Right? Yeah, definitely. So Harry had been held back in potions where Snape had made him stay behind to scrape 2 worms off the desks, which is gross. Mm-hmm. And then they're doing some homework, and they go to the library, and Hermione is trying to find a copy of Hogwarts: A History, but all of the copies have been checked out because everybody is trying to find out about the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
And since they can't find a book on it, she decides to just get all up in Professor Binns' face at their next class.
Oh my God, this professor. It's still the greatest thing ever. The idea that he died and he was so boring he didn't even notice he died.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just got up and went back to class the next day. To me, it's still hysterical. One, because I kind of think that's how I'll be when I die. But it's so great. And he is so taken aback by having someone ask a question when Hermione first asked him.
Yeah. The fact that anybody is actually awake.
Right?
Throws him.
He's so used to just droning on.
Yep.
And he doesn't want to talk about this first because he's a little insulted. I'm a professor of history. I don't deal in myths and legends, But she's like, well, aren't they all sort of kind of based on something, though? And sure enough, he starts talking about it.
Can we also... He doesn't even know Hermione's name.
No, not at all.
Which I think is such a great detail because, like, all the teachers know Hermione, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
She's Hermione. She's, like, the one person that they will always talk to every day. And, he doesn't even know her name, so she has to be like, Granger.
He calls her Miss Grant at one point.
Yes. I love that detail so much. I really do. But yeah, so he tells the story about how supposedly when Salazar Slytherin founded the school, he put some secret
Nameless
chamber to the school. Yeah.
Because that's a reasonable thing for an adult to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really like when you stop and really think about it. And I'm not saying this as a criticism to the writing. I'm saying it as like just a question that we should always ask when some crazy shit has been suggested. What causes this kind of rumor to start in the first place?
Right.
Oh, I heard that one of the founders of the school built a giant secret chamber underneath. Like, because did he write it in a journal and like somebody found it?
It goes from they had a disagreement about who should be allowed in the school. Salazar and the other teachers, the other heads of houses. Mm-hmm. It goes from that disagreement to him making the secret chamber and filling it with a terrible beast. Like, there's no in between.
Right.
Like, why is that your first go-to move? Oh, because you're evil. That's right. I forgot.
But, cool being on this, like, child school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah. All right.
And he does it, and it feels like the other heads of house maybe knows he does it.
Well, maybe he, like, was like, oh, no, that's just like a game room. I just wanted somewhere that I could just, like go and chill out.
It's my man cave. It's my Slytherin
right?
Cave.
And then,
I need a place to go to be petty and haughty and make fun of people.
And he just, like, convinces them that it's all above board, but, like, as his behavior starts to become more and more suspect over the coming years, and they realize that, like, maybe he is evil, the purposes of that secret chamber start to really come into question.
Right. Yeah. Once they start deciding that he is shitty, they're like, oh, maybe that thing he did is also shitty.
Did you hear any screaming the other night? I couldn't figure out where it was. What? No, I mean, we were watching the game. That's probably what you heard. We were just cheering for the game there. Football, right? That's what you call it.
Yeah, there are so many questions that I still have even after reading the series, which is my primary question is, how is House Slytherin still a fucking thing? Like, why didn't they get rid of that?
Yeah.
Immediately. The minute he turned into a terrible person, why didn't we go, you know what, this is not a house we want in our school. We'll just have 3 houses.
Probably because they figured that just because, like, the creator of the house is terrible doesn't mean that everybody who identifies with it is also going to be terrible. Like,
but it sort of turned out that way.
Did kind of. Like, I know there are Slytherins out there who are yelling at us right now, but guys,
listen.
Just
in the
books. Let's be honest.
Y'all ain't shit.
I'm not saying that there weren't evil people in other houses, because obviously, of course, there were.
But.
But we do have one whole house that just decides to bail at the end of the books and let everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like if maybe we didn't have this house, we wouldn't have needed all 7 books.
This is what happens when people are like, everybody should have a platform. I might not agree with it, but
you're so right. You're so right. Everybody's entitled to their Slytherin opinion. No, actually, they're not. They are not entitled. You take that shit somewhere else.
Oh, God. That would totally be where that dude is that got punched. What is his name? Steven?
Fuck, I don't remember.
You know the one.
Richard something?
Richard Spencer.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what it is. I was getting the S from Spencer. But yeah, that's you know.
Yeah, we all know.
So,
and every time somebody that I'm friends with is like House Slytherin, I have to be like, oh, that's cool. But deep down inside, I'm like, is it?
Is it?
Is it cool?
I know mostly it's just like, oh, I'm super ambitious. And like, I'm not going to lie. When I take the quizzes that give you a percentage, I get Ravenclaw and then Slytherin. And then distantly is Gryffindor and then Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I took one of those percentage ones, and it was really close to what you got. It was Ravenclaw, and then my Slytherin was second, but it wasn't as close as yours was. It was maybe like 10 points in between.
Okay.
Maybe like 7 to 10 points in between Slytherin and Ravenclaw. Mm-hmm. And then Gryffindor and Hufflepuff were like way distant, third and fourth. So I feel like I can talk shit about Slytherin because they're but for the grace of God.
Right. Yeah, I really feel like it's something that because of it's just like we've grown to defend Slytherin purely because of merchandising.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, I like snakes. I like silver and green. Mm-hmm. We'll figure it out.
I think that, and I don't do this often with these books, but I think that it's possible that, because it's clear that J.K. doesn't want Slytherin to be the evil house, mm-hmm. right? She makes making Harry, like, could go either way is a real testament to the idea that it's not that she thinks that Slytherin is evil.
Right.
But I feel like she did not do a good job of maintaining that premise. You know?
Absolutely.
Like she wanted it to be that all the houses were practically equal, and one was not greater than the other, and good and bad could come from any house, and that was like her idea. Mm-hmm. But the way the books turned out didn't follow that. Like, there was no good people that turned out from Slytherin.
That was the whole house. Biggest misstep at the end, I think, is having the whole house of Slytherin just walk away.
Yeah.
You don't come back from that.
Yeah. And I totally feel like it's not something she intended when she started, and I don't know if it just got away from her or what. But I feel like she wasn't trying to make a statement about, like, oh, if you belong to this house, you're beyond saving. Mm-hmm. But she just didn't really do anything to make me challenge that thinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with you. So I feel like most of it since then has just been like headcanoning a lot of stuff and trying to, point out, well, not all Slytherins were evil and not everybody evil came from Slytherin when, just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah. Turns out they kind of sort of did. Mm-hmm. I'm curious. I don't know if she's ever addressed it, but I'd be curious to hear what she thinks of that now. Like, if she regrets it, if she wishes she had made, a few characters from Slytherin be ostensibly right side just to give it some balance, and she just didn't get a chance to do it.
Well, I think we mentioned this once before, that she had been going to have another Weasley sister or cousin, a Weasley cousin, who was a Slytherin and was like their in.
That's right.
And would spy and listen and tell them things.
Right. That's right.
And she wound up deciding that she didn't need that character. And part of me is like, you kind of did.
Maybe you kind of did need it, though.
Yeah. I mean, it might not have worked that well because how, like, you're related to the Weasleys and Malfoy's just saying some shit in front of you.
Yeah. Like, how seriously are they going to take you as being one of them?
Yeah.
When you're from that family. But it could have worked if it had been a different character that maybe wasn't a Weasley. Just like some other kid,
Or just like a Weasley, but kind of a shitbag. And they tell Harry and Ron stuff because they're just like messing with them and not even because they realize that they're being helpful. Like, not... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it sounds a little too double agent-ish for her, though. JK,
yeah.
I mean.
You know what I mean? I mean, you're saying this, but do you remember the first 4 books and how that went?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess I'm thinking of students, though.
Okay.
Not that students can't be duplicitous, but I'm just trying to think of like what characters she introduced. It seemed like that's something they could do, or seems like it's a character that she could have introduced that would have felt like it was something that character could have pulled off.
Yeah.
And I really feel like most of her characters wear their heart on their sleeve. Like, you know what the deal is with each of these students the first time you meet them. Even with their growth and change. Like, even Neville, right? Who Neville has that great arc, that great redemption. But it's not a change in his inherent character. It's a change in his confidence and what he thinks he's capable of. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, he as a person doesn't change, you know? You know what I mean? Like, Neville is fucking Neville. And he's good, like, from the first time you meet him, even though he keeps losing shit. You never think, you know, you never think that he... And Malfoy is fucking Malfoy from the moment you meet him, and so are his cronies. And there's not any characters in the book that are introduced and you think of them as one way, and then it turns out there's something completely different. Like, she doesn't do that with any of the students.
Yeah.
She does it a lot with fucking Snape, but, you know.
I don't even mean that they're, like, you don't know what side they're on. I just mean that they're, like, they're family, so they talk to Ron, but they're kind of a jerk, and they talk out of turn a little bit and inadvertently give things away. So
they just talk because they don't know to shut up?
Kind of a Hagrid, but Slytherin.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
That would have made for an interesting character. Again, I'm not sure how she would have written it, that it would have... I mean, unless this character was just grossly stupid.
Right.
Which might
it could have been a Crabbe or Goyle type situation.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would have had to have been like a kid that was really thought he was part of what was going on in Slytherin and was just talking crazy shit about Ron and Weasley's and Harry and let stuff slip out.
It would be kind of amazing, actually, if Crabbe or Goyle had been a Weasley and they just had this weird, like, black sheep in the family who everybody kind of hated, but they just dealt with him.
Yeah.
Because he's family.
Because, though, you know, the Weasleys are a pureblood family, so they could have people in them that wanted to align themselves.
Absolutely.
With the better class of wizards or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, trying to come up, trying to move upward mobility.
And I think it would have been a really interesting exploration of that whole, you know, because we have Percy who, like, goes off to the dark side for a bit, but not because he believes in them. It's because he's a selfish, unbelieving prick who doesn't trust his own family. If we had somebody that was in this family who had, you know, they had thought they did everything right in bringing him up, and yet he still, like, went off and became a Nazi, basically.
Right.
And this family had to cope with that and constantly trying to, like, fight it until finally, you know, the last book or the second to last book, he, like, really just states that that's who he's with now and they have to let it go. That's just something a lot of families face is, you know.
It's true. Like, especially when you talk about class issues, which the Weasleys, if not anything else, it's all about class with the Weasleys, right? Like, they come from a pureblood family, and you would think that they would have, like, the benefit of that privilege. But money-wise, you know, they're really low on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So it is completely believable that somebody in the Weasley family would try to leverage their heritage to try to make it come up class-wise, which is what Percy does a little bit. But you're right. I think it would have been interesting to see a character really try to do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, kind of the opposite of Regulus Black, you know?
Right.
Or the opposite of Sirius, really, because Sirius, you know, was the one Gryffindor, and his family disowned him, basically.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that I don't know if I would believe that the Weasleys, as we know them, would have accepted a person in the family that was so aligned with wizards and purebloods and Slytherins. I feel like the Weasleys that we know would never have trusted that family member. know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, then we're straying into a much more kind of adult take on the story where the Weasleys don't trust him and they don't really like him. But, you know, at Thanksgiving, he still comes to dinner and we all just have to, like, try and keep the conversation away from politics because we don't want to get Cousin Goyle started on shit. And just, like, dealing with that until finally you can't anymore and you have to take a stand on something.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the Weasleys definitely would have got to a point where they had to take a stand. And they would not allow that sort of behavior or that talk in their family. Because you think about how much time Harry spent there. If this type of person existed, this cousin or whatever, you know, they wouldn't have been able to bite their tongue in front of Harry.
Right.
And I feel like the Weasleys would have stood up for him. Because, you know, they're pretty stand up as a family.
Yeah, definitely.
And they would have, you know. But yeah, that would have been interesting.
Anyway, now that we're done with that hypothetical.
Let's talk about stuff that was actually written.
So let's see. The story goes that Slytherin had built a hidden chamber in the castle, of which the other founders knew nothing. Slytherin, according to the legend, sealed the Chamber of Secrets so that none would be able to open it until his own true heir arrived at the school. The heir alone would be able to unseal the Chamber of Secrets, unleash the horror within, and use it to purge the school of all who were unworthy to study magic. So
yeah, it's ominous.
Yeah. I really want to know what Slytherin's criteria were for his heir. How do you know who your heir is? Is there like an evil meter that they
there's gotta be an evil meter.
I just really want to know what that's about.
You stick like your forefinger in it, like when you get your blood pressure taken.
Right.
It's the doctor, right? You just stick it in there and it beeps. There you go.
I'm typing in how did Voldemort discover the Chamber of Secrets into Google, and let's see what they've got for me here. How did Tom Riddle find out about the existence?
I assumed it was when he was a student.
Well, definitely. I'm more wondering how no one else found out where it's located. Are parcel tongues really that rare? Even if they aren't, people like Dumbledore can apparently teach themselves parcel tongue. And Ron opens the chamber without even understanding what he himself is saying. Not to mention, the chamber is freaking huge. And how did no one figure out there was a big freaking room no one explored before? And this is the question.
Don't they talk about that in Ben's class, where somebody is like, well, maybe you have to use dark arts to find it.
Maybe.
Because Ben is like, all the headmasters we've had and no one's found it. It can't possibly exist. And somebody's like, well, maybe just the wrong people were looking for it. Which I was like, oh, okay. Maybe that's true.
Just because a wizard doesn't use dark magic doesn't mean he can't, Miss Pennyfeather. Which is what he calls Parvati.
Which is not her name.
Nope. But yeah, the responses on this forum are pretty insufficient to me. It's just basically like, oh, I don't know, you know, he could talk to snakes, figure it out. So yeah, if anybody out there has a theory on this, let me know. So he's leaving class with his friends, and they're talking about how if the, you know, Sorting Hat had tried to put them in Slytherin, they would have just bounced. And Harry's like just trying not to let it show on his face because he almost got put in Slytherin, and that bums him out.
Yeah, and he hasn't shared that yet. And he's really upset by the memory. Like, he's really embarrassed and afraid if he tells them that they will look at him differently, which they probably would. So he decides to keep that to himself. And I'm not a huge fan of Harry keeping secrets, but I feel like for this one, okay then.
Yeah, I agree. They probably would look at him differently. You're probably right.
Yeah, I think so. And they wouldn't want to. They wouldn't mean to, but they totally would.
So a little bit later, they discover a bunch of spiders all walking in a straight line. And they're watching these spiders, and this is when we find out that Ron is terrified of them.
Yeah. With good reason, too. That fucking story is terrible.
Right?
Big brothers are the worst. I'm so glad mine didn't have magic.
You wouldn't like them either if you'd been holding your bear and suddenly it had too many legs and
yeah,
oh my
that
God.
sounds terrible.
That's like, being asleep in bed and suddenly realizing there's something on you. It's like that equivalent of like total comfort and then just blind panic.
For years, I slept with the covers over my head because when I was little, one of my cousins put on a wig and sunglasses and like leaned right into my face and slowly woke me up so that when my eyes opened, they were like 2 inches from my face wearing a crazy wig.
That is messed up.
It was terrifying. And I slept with my head covered for years.
Oh, yeah. You poor thing.
My brother also once convinced me the slippers I had been real life cats at one point.
Wait, what?
I had a pair of slippers when I was little, and the top of the slipper were tigers' heads with like whiskers and eyes and ears and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my brother convinced me that they had actually once been real tigers. And everything that I said to disprove him, he was like, I was like, well, the eyes are plastic. He was like, oh, well, because the real eyes would have rotted out. They can't keep real eyes in there. They have to make them plastic. I'm like, oh, well, the fur feels funny. Oh, well, it's shellac because, mass production. It's to the point where I took my slippers off and threw them away.
Oh.
Yeah. Big brothers are the worst. They've been nothing to society.
I was just talking about this today with Candace, actually, because she was saying about some shit that she told her little brother that, like, he had been found on the... Oh, no. What she said was they found him, and he was a dog.
Oh, my God. I had that, too.
They gave him extensive surgery to have him look like a little boy because they weren't allowed to have dogs where they lived.
See? Do you see what people do?
Where do you guys even think of this shit, you monsters?
Yep. My brother told me I was adopted and they found me in a trash can.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Older siblings do better.
That's really mean. Okay. So then they're talking about how there had been all this water that was on the floor under the Chamber of Secrets sign. And they're about to go in, and then Ron's like, wait, that's the girls' bathroom. We can't do that. And Hermione's like, for fuck's sake. And they go in, and it is a really dismal, depressing bathroom. And Hermione goes over and finds Myrtle to try and ask her if she saw anything.
This illustration of Myrtle is the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Right?
This little Myrtle ghost, she's clasping her hands and her face just looks like, please love me and be nice to me. It's so sad. Oh, Myrtle.
Please continue.
I was just going to say also the name Myrtle.
Yes. Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Peeves upset me so much I came in here and tried to kill myself.
Oh my God. Until I remembered I was already dead.
Myrtle gave a tragic sob, rose up in the air, turned over, and dived headfirst into the toilet, splashing water all over them and vanishing from sight.
Hermione's like, it went better than we could have expected. The only thing that keeps me from really being nobody likes me on Facebook is I don't want to be a Myrtle. I don't want to be that person on Facebook.
But so, I mean, if you did, it would be nothing but people being like, I like you. Whereas with Myrtle, when she does it, everybody's like, I mean...
Well, you're terrible, Myrtle.
I mean, Myrtle, I'd say that I like you, but that would be a lie. Right. I want to make you feel better, but you are terrible.
Yeah. Myrtle has been doing this so long that people have just stopped lying to make her feel better. Right? Anyone who gave a fuck is long past dead. Nowadays, people are like, yeah, okay. You are terrible. You do cry a lot. You are a pain to be around. But can you help us, though?
Yep. Basically. Listen, we're just trying to be straight shooters with you. That's all. And then Percy sees them coming out of there and takes 5 points from Gryffindor
Fucking Percy. I forget that he's a thing, right?
Right.
Until he pops up being Percy. And I'm just like, dude, really? First of all, I'm not even sure how legitimate it is that he's taking points.
Yeah, this is something that you don't see that often. I think later we see when when Umbridge is there and she makes her inquisitorial squad, they can take points away. But
at this point, Percy's not even head boy yet. He's just a prefect.
Oh, I guess you're right. She's just a prefect.
Yeah, Ron says something to him like, "Oh, you don't want to be embarrassed by me while you're trying to be head boy." And I'm like, he's taking points away on whose authority? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So, yeah, he just like gets really pissy. 5 points, walks away, and then who can it be? Let's think. Who do we know who thinks Muggle-borns are scum? If you're talking about Malfoy, of course I am. And finally, she like admits that it's possible, but she really just doesn't see it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is a fair assumption, right? It's a fair.
That's what I would think.
To leap to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what I thought. Especially because he's so gleeful when the sign appears. You know, he really like jumps on that bandwagon. But reading it this time, and granted, I know how it ends, but reading it this time, I was like, but do we really think a second year is capable of that?
Yeah.
Even someone as despicable as Malfoy, can he really pull this off though? Which I don't think occurred to me the first time I read it.
I think that it does, like, nothing. It doesn't seem that drastic. So, because people are being frozen, but we know they can be brought back. So I think that's the one thing that made me go, oh yeah, it might be Malfoy.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like they're just kind of like trying to send a message, but not really like do anything that could really get them in trouble.
Right. There's a line about how Filch is still trying to scrub the writing off, and it's not coming off. He's using like various magical like mess be gone spells and shit, and nothing is getting rid of it. And that seems like a higher level of magic to me.
Yeah.
Than what, say, a Malfoy would be capable of. But yeah, I think it's reasonable for her and Harry to jump to Malfoy as a suspect. Because who else is it going to be? They haven't even gotten to the point of suspecting Snape of being capable of this type of stuff yet. That's how early we are.
That's true. I don't think they have any idea about Snape's feelings on Muggle-borns.
Yeah. I mean, they think he's terrible, but that's because he's awful, as a person.
Right. Exactly. So Hermione decides, well, the only thing that we can do is put on some disguises and question Malfoy. And they're like, wait, what? You're going to just like make a... And she's like, yeah, I'm going to go get a secret banned book, basically, from the restricted section, and I'm just going to have a teacher that signs off on it so that I can look at it for reference only, but not actually like use any of it.
And luckily for them, they have a Lockhart available.
Yeah, Ron's like, oh, come on, no teacher's going to fall for that. They'd have to be really thick. Hee hee.
Yeah, that works.
The illustration for the Skelligro bottle is the coolest.
It's great. It's pretty great.
That. Skelligro. The Rogue Bludger. Really briefly, before we begin this chapter, I want to take a break from one of our sponsors. And it's going to be Jamie that talks to you all about this. So thanks, Jamie, for this little ad that you made. What's up?
Unspoiled Network has a new sponsor, and it's a really great one. I'm sure you've heard of subscription boxes. I get a few myself. There are so many out there, basically for everything you could want. Well, we're all a bunch of Harry Potter fans around here, and we're lucky enough to have AccioBox as our new sponsor. AccioBox is even cooler than the other subscription boxes out there because they curate special fan-made Harry Potter items from around the internet rather than fill their boxes with the same old items that you can get at your local stores or in other boxes. In their boxes, you will get 3 to 5 items each month for $39.99. But if you use the promo code UNSPOILED, you get a 10% discount. Check out their Facebook page and their Instagram at the AccioBox for more information and peeks at the items from their boxes. I know I'll be placing an order, and we hope you do too. That's AccioBox, promo code UNSPOILED.
And we are back. If you're a patron, you didn't have to sit through that. So Harry gets hauled to the front of the class during the very next Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson, this time acting as a werewolf.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Nice loud howl, Harry. Exactly. And then, if you'll believe it, I pounced like this, slammed him to the floor. Thus, with one hand, I managed to hold him down. With my other, I put my wand to his throat. I then screwed up my remaining strength and performed the immensely complex amorphous charm. He let out a piteous moan. Go on, Harry. Higher than that. Good. The fur vanished, the fangs shrank, and he turned back into a man. Simple yet effective.
Yeah, he is so full of shit.
Yep.
And this illustration of him, he looks like fucking Gary Busey.
Oh my god, he does a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's so full of shit. And poor Harry. Oh.
I like his pumpkin-shaped inkwell, though.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Pretty adorable. I was thinking that he looked a little bit like, what's that guy that J.K. Rowling's always arguing with?
Piers Morgan?
Piers Morgan, yeah. Because he's got that chinless thing happening.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He does. I like the picture behind him on the wall, too. It's like looking out into the horizon. Because he's a great adventurer.
Oh, my God. There was this fucking tweet from this guy, this actor. I can't remember his name. But I guess he was in The Devil Wears Prada, which was a terrible movie, and he was in Entourage, which I never saw. Entourage. Did you watch that show?
I did. Which guy?
He's Hispanic looking, and he's got like kind of piercing grayish eyes and a really square jaw.
I guess that's the guy that maybe played Eric. Is he short?
I don't know. I never watched it. I don't know how tall he is. But anyway, he was tweeting, and he tweeted, and I'm not sure how old this tweet was, but he tweeted a picture of himself looking away from the camera at this gorgeous landscape. And he wrote, "Sorry, I haven't been very active. I've been too present, too distracted by the moment."
Oh my God, stop.
But thank you. And that's what this behind him looks like. I'm sorry, I was just distracted by the moment.
Oh, that's definitely got to be. Oh God, he should be embarrassed.
Yep.
Like right off of Twitter. Like he should be so ashamed he never tweets again.
Yeah. Distracted by the moment. I'm Googling this so that I can find out. Distracted by the moment.
Fuck out of here with that bullshit. I'm getting ready to look for it too because I want to know which guy it was. It had to be Eric because there's only the 4 guys. So there's the dark-haired guy with the curly hair. There's the short guy with the beard. There's the guy.
There we go.
Brother of
Adrian
Matt
Grenier.
Oh no, it was him. That's the guy that played fucking Vince. He did it? Oh,
yep.
That's worse.
Haven't been posting because I've been too present, distracted by the moment. Sorry, but thank you.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what that even means, but I'm sorry, but thank you.
I'm so deeply hurt by that. That tweet hurt my feelings.
I'm sending you a link to the tweet.
Oh my
there it is.
God. Oh,
it's really old. It's from 2014. Because somebody shared it in a group that I was in, and I could not stop laughing.
Let's just pray that he knows better now in 2017 to post some dumb shit like that.
I'm like going down the somebody must have shared it.
Oh man.
Because there's a bunch of replies to it from July.
Okay.
So somebody found it and shared it.
He was like supposed to be like that show, which I watched, even though it was terrible, but I watched it because I thought it was fun. He was supposed to be like the next big star. You know, he was going to be like a huge movie star after this.
Okay.
And it just never really happened for him.
He's just not very likable. I don't know. There's something.
He did a weird documentary that I maybe watched or didn't watch. I think it had something to do with finding for parents. I don't know. But he was like primed to be like, you know, the next big thing. And either he was such a douchebag or he wasn't a good actor. I don't know what went wrong. But we never hear of him anymore. Maybe it's because he says shit like this.
Right. Like, I don't know. Maybe I have leftover feelings from the Devil Wears Prada because I just was so mad at that fucking awful movie.
Was he the boyfriend? Was he the boyfriend?
The boyfriend who's like, how dare you have goals and a job when I'm your boyfriend? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't watch the whole thing. I think by the time I saw the end and there was a different dude at the end. Like maybe this guy was trash, so she gets a better boyfriend, maybe. At the end. What
it is supposed to be, if I remember correctly, is that the boyfriend like kind of leaves her because she's like not paying enough attention to him. It's supposed to be like, oh, but she still winds up with somebody great, and I'm like, she should have been the one to dump his ass. Like what?
Yeah.
But I'm loving these replies because somebody just replied to him, there are only inappropriate adolescent words for this kind of noxious self-absorption. fake West Coast pseudo-spiritualist vanity. And somebody replied to that guy, sounds like somebody needs to be more distracted by the moment.
Oh my God. How do you write that with a straight face and put it out for the world to see? Haven't been posting. I've been too present. Distracted by the moment.
Somebody copy pasted that over the picture of Chris Christie on the beach.
Oh my God, that picture has been killing me. Oh my God.
Oh God, that is hilarious. I love it. Okay. Anyway, enough about him, but I just thought that painting of Gilderoy just really, really reminded me of that. Gilderoy Lockhart's. There's got to be a Gilderoy Lockhart on Twitter, right? Like,
oh, I hope so.
Because he is made for Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding this out. Gilderoy Lockhart. Oh, but it's all like nonsense. Magical Lockhart. Yeah, this is no bueno. Somebody needs to take over on that. Somebody with good chops, comedic chops. I hate the word chops in that context, but so Hermione gets him to make the signature, to make the words with the pen. And
to make the words with the pen.
I'm supposed to say he signs his signature, he gives her his signature or whatever, but I'm like, he makes the signature. Like, okay, what? Do you know how the language works?
Who the fuck is this?
And then when she gets to the library, she doesn't want to give up the paper that has his signature on it.
Oh my God, I love it. Ron is like, we'll get you another autograph.
He'll sign anything if it stands still long enough. My particular favorite phrasing. And oh yeah. We're going to need lacewing flies, leeches, fluxweed, and knotgrass. Well, they're easy enough. They're in the student store cupboard. We can help ourselves. Ooh, look, powdered horn of bicorn. I don't know where we're going to get that. Shredded skin of a boomslang. That'll be tricky, too. And, of course, a bit of whoever we want to change into. Excuse me? Said Ron sharply. What do you mean a bit of whoever we're changing into?
Ron asking the real questions.
Right. I'm drinking nothing with crab's toenails in it. And she just totally ignores him. and looks at Harry like, hey, buddy, you want to jump in on this and maybe, say something about how this isn't the best idea? And then, do you realize how much we're going to have to steal, Hermione? Shredded skin of boomslang. That's definitely not in the student's cupboard. What are we going to do? Break into Snape's private stores? I don't know if this is a good idea. And Hermione's just basically like, oh, okay, so you just want to let a racist get away with attacking people? All right, yeah, that's fine. Sure, we won't steal things. That's cool. I guess stealing's probably way worse than attacking Muggle-born students in your eyes, so... And I was just like, God damn, girl, she just went for it.
Right? She basically shames them into action.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And I never thought I'd see the day when you'd be persuading us to break rules. All right. We'll do it, but not toenails, okay? And it'll be ready in about a month. Which is... I
forgot how long this took.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, it's like 2 weeks. But reading it, I was like, oh, shit, they have to wait a whole month for this?
Yeah.
God damn, that's right. Because so much other shit happens in between.
Yep. Yeah, it does. And this is something that, like, I think it was smart of J.K. Rowling, considering that, like, I'm not sure how much she plans ahead on certain parts of her stories, but like we have Barty Crouch mixing this stuff up and turning into the Mad Eye, and I'm not sure how long it keeps is the main thing, because later on Hermione starts carrying bottles of it, I think, just in case they need to like turn into somebody else. So apparently it's like shelf stable to a degree once it's made, and you could just, pour out yourself a little glass from the pitcher in the fridge that you've got. But yeah, I think it was smart of JK not to pen herself in by giving it like a must use by date.
Yeah.
So let's see. And then the Quidditch game. Just, to summarize, somebody's fucked with this bludger. And it is going straight for Harry every time, no matter what's happening in the game. Harry is the target. And Oliver does not want to forfeit the game because he just, he's like almost at the end of his career at school and still has not won the House Cup. This means a lot to him.
Yeah.
But he does leave it up to Harry. And it's like, it's up to you, buddy. And Harry's like, oh, no, we're going to fucking do this. I'm playing this goddamn game. And he's like, okay. And
Fred and George are like, but seriously, have you been paying attention?
Right.
Do you see what's happening?
Yeah. Like,
Harry's like, I got it. I'll be fine, guys. I'll be fine. But then he's not fine.
He's not fine. Because he stands still just a second too long and he gets fucking nailed.
I forgot he gets nailed in this. So after the what do you want to do and will you be okay? I was like, oh yeah, Harry's going to be fine. And then like 2 paragraphs later, boink. And I'm like, oh shit, that's right. He's not okay. Because normally you would expect for your protagonist to be able, to make it through this, right? He's going to bob and weave and duck and dive and he's going to be fine. And it starts off like that, right? So you're like, oh yeah, Harry's going to be totally okay. He can do this. And then when you least expect it, he gets cracked.
Yep.
And he does get the snitch, or he does win the game, but he gets really fucking hurt. And then Lockhart comes and just makes it 10 times worse.
Oh my God. I love that Harry's trying to be like, no, not you.
So much. I love it. Oh. And he's like, what are you talking about, Harry? He's just mumbling. He's disoriented.
Doesn't know what he's saying. Oh.
I love it because that means Lockhart heard what he said.
Yep.
Right? And he has to try to make it sound like it's something else. Which to me is just like such a great little juicy detail. That this motherfucker heard Harry say, anyone but you, please. Anyone but you.
Oh, I love it. I love, too, that Hermione tries to, like, well, it doesn't hurt anymore, does it, Harry?
Oh, my God, yeah, yeah.
Hermione, lady.
She's still standing for him, but she's going to learn. But, yeah, he comes over, and he is so insistent, Lockhart is.
Mm-hmm.
I've got this under control. I can take care of this. Everybody back away. Give me space. Let me work my magic. And fucking just gets all the bones out of his arm.
Yup.
He's so incompetent that I remember reading the first time and I was already like, how is he even a teacher? How is this even a thing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how hard this position is to fill. What the fuck? And this moment is just, and he's still a teacher after this. Like, how is he not immediately let go? Why is he still a teacher?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Right? Because Madame Pomfrey is like pissed. She's like, why didn't you come to me immediately? And I think someone tells her that Lockhart. Does someone tell her Lockhart tried to?
I'm trying to find the spot here.
She says, why didn't you come to me away?
Let's see. You should have come straight to me, she raged, blah, blah, blah. I can mend bones in a second, but growing them back. And then it took a while to stuff the rubbery, boneless arm into a sleeve. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. Yes, I guess they don't tell her explicitly that Lockhart, had a part of this. So
I love Harry swung himself onto the bed, his arm flapping pointlessly.
That was dolphin fin.
That is so funny. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but they had brought cakes, sweets, and bottles of pumpkin juice. They gathered around Harry's bed and were just getting started on what promised to be a good party when Madame Pomfrey came storming over, shouting, "This boy needs rest! He's got 33 bones to regrow! Out! Out!" And Harry was left alone with nothing to distract him from the stabbing pains in his limp arm.
I love, too, that the idea that she could have just mended his broken arm easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It wouldn't have been a big deal, and it probably wouldn't even hurt that much. But because she has to do the skeletal thing, it's going to be an excruciating experience for him. And that's all Lockhart's fault. And there's really no comeuppance for him for this, or any of it, really.
Not really. Like, he just goes batty.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's it's not satisfying when somebody doesn't know what they're being punished for.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I want him to be sort of like called out in front of the entire school and having a decree that says he's not shit, he's terrible, as opposed to him just kind of like losing his memory and going kind of nutty.
Agreed.
But yeah, this illustration of the Skeletor bottle was pretty cool too.
Is that the coolest? I love that. Yeah,
like it's like a giant skeleton, and then inside it is a smaller skeleton, I guess.
Well, it's a skeleton with a baby skeleton, and he's feeding it from a bottle.
And he's got a jaunty top hat on. Yeah. He looks like a Grateful Dead skeleton. Which they have a name. I forget what they're called. I used to know it. No, not the people who follow him. The skeleton that is sort of like a side.
I don't know.
It has a name. I just can't remember what it's called.
So Harry gets woken up abruptly by some creep staring into his face.
Mm-hmm. That's how you get nightmares.
And that's true, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what happened to you.
Yep.
And Harry tries to be mad at him, but Dobby's just like, oh, whatever, another death threat.
He's so pitiful. You can't stay mad at him because he's like, people wish me dead 5 times a day, and Harry's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. So then he tells Harry, hey, so I thought you weren't going to come to school since you couldn't, since you missed the train. And Harry's like, oh, come again?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? And then he's like, oh, yeah, and my bludger. What?
Yep.
Oh, lots of confessions happening.
Yeah, I forgot how much Dobby was actually responsible for in this book.
Yeah.
Like, of the terrible things that happened. Because he's really on this whole Harry Potter shouldn't be at school thing because it's too dangerous.
Yep.
So yeah, it's Dobby, guys.
Surprise!
It's 100% Dobby. And
Harry asks him, who is it? Who's opened it? Who opened it last time? Dobby can't, sir. Dobby can't. Dobby mustn't tell. Go home, Harry Potter. Go home. I'm not going anywhere, said Harry fiercely. One of my best friends is Muggleborn. She'll be first in line if the chamber really has been opened. Harry Potter risks his own life for his friends, moaned Dobby in a kind of miserable ecstasy. So noble, so valiant, but he must save himself. He must. Harry Potter must not. And then he realizes somebody's coming and he's gone.
Just disappears. Oh. He fucking shows up, has this like emotional breakdown.
It is so great. I always forget how good it is.
And just poof, disappears. Oh. Harry's got like half bones in his arm, in incredible pain, stuck in the fucking hospital ward. And all I can think in my head is Harry's just on the bed, like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Like, what the fuck even just happened? Because Dobby shows up and, okay, he's behind all the shit that we've seen so far. It's Dobby, right? Mm-hmm. But it's to me, it's super clear that he's working on information that we don't have yet and that Harry's trying to get, but he doesn't give. Mm-hmm. So the idea of him, who we later learn to really love and mourn.
Oh my God.
Right? Like,
don't talk about it.
Who knew this particular character who is in this moment completely unreasonable and a giant pain in the ass, right? You're coming with your half stories. You're not telling me anything. You're, as far as I can tell, you're the person doing the most damage to me.
Right.
Yeah. But, like, going back to the fucking pudding incident at Dursley's, Dobby is the one who has caused Harry the most trouble. Yep. But it's clear he's working on some information that we don't all have. So it's insufferable. It's hard to read these parts. It's hard to be sympathetic for Dobby. Mm-hmm. But then before you know it, we're sobbing when he's gone. You know, to take a character and to grow it that way and to take the audience along to where we actually, you know, are sad when he leaves it's pretty good writing.
Yeah, it is. She good, man. She good.
She's all right.
So Harry is awake in bed, and that's why he hears them come in carrying somebody.
Yeah, I forgot about this part too. I totally forgot about this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know this character or whatever. I forgot this happened to him.
And not only does it happen to him, but it happens to him because he was trying to sneak up to visit Harry. Like,
yeah,
this guy's just on the receiving end of a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, poor Colin.
Right?
Yeah, he's just like fucking innocent. He's like, he's not a red shirt, but he is so innocent of all the other stuff that's going on because he's really not tied to any of the other storylines. He's just this kid who really loves Harry, who's so enamored with him.
Yeah.
And this terrible stuff is befalling him just because of his desire to see Harry, you know.
And be friends.
You know, and probably congratulate him on catching the snitch and tell him what a great game it was. Mm-hmm. You know, just all the good things. All the good things. And he can't even do it because.
And finally, when they open the camera, it's all been melted. And McGonagall's like, what does this mean? And Dumbledore says it means the chamber has been opened again. And she says, well, who could do that? And he says it's not a question of who, because he knows who the fuck did it.
Yeah, he knows already. Mm-hmm. That's when I should have been side-eyeing him from this moment on.
True.
But it took me a little while, guys. I'm sorry. What can I say? I was bedazzled.
Bedazzled.
No, I was. But I should have known right from this moment. I love to... He has the idea that maybe Colin caught something on his camera. Is it Dumbledore? Somebody's like, maybe he got a picture of whoever did it to him.
I think it was Minerva.
Of course it was.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, this is like, I just remember when I first read this, how none of this made any sense. I was just like, I got nothing. You know, there's a lot of things where I can kind of be like, well, maybe this and maybe that. And then later there's like roosters that are turning up dead. And that was another thing where I was just like, what?
Right.
But yeah, this is just so mystifying to me. All right, well, guys, I just wanted to wrap it up because we're going really late here tonight.
Sorry,
it's not your fault. It's kind of your fault, but it's also kind of my fault because we just cannot stop yakking.
I know we talked forever tonight.
It was like 2 hours,
and we just talked last night.
That's true, we did.
Right?
We didn't talk for even that long last night. For some reason, we had way more to say today. And I know that I just like pulled up all the new patrons that and then like closed the open tab.
Why would you close it though?
Good job, Natasha.
Why did you close it?
Because I'm a tool.
Oh God, you're fired.
I know. I'm sorry. But guys, don't forget to check out our sponsor, AudioBox. They got back to me today and let me know that there have been some sign-ups, so that's cool. Awesome. So thank you guys for doing that and using our unspoiled code. Our boxes should be coming soon. Oh, I'm so excited for that, you guys. I am too. Yeah. Sincerely. Yeah, I think that's going to be really fun to open. And yeah, go to akiobox.com and use code unspoiled and get 10% off of your first 3 boxes. And also, guys, you can shop on Amazon at unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon. And a lot more people have been doing that lately, and I'm seeing the difference, even internationally. I'm seeing the difference. It's not like a huge jump. I'm not suddenly making $1,000 on it, but it's definitely enough to be like a big help to me. So really, really huge thank you to everybody who's been using that. And if you haven't, you should. And you should bookmark it, and you should use it every time you shop, because it's like a really easy, simple way to constantly support the show without even having to think about it. And lastly, I wanted to check and see if we had any new reviews. Oh, we do. From, guess who? Austin Lacey. Oh, hey, Austin. What's up? 5 stars, listened twice. Well, he sure fucking didn't he? Liked it enough to listen a second time and spend weeks making prediction montages. If that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. That brings us to 290 reviews, Austin. Holy you got us shit. to an almost round number. So thank you, Austin. That's awesome. I'm really excited. 290? Yep. Holy crap. We have outpaced Song of Ice and Fire by far now. Fucking incredible to me. Yep. That's insane. And new patrons. We have Lauren Vogt, Devin Matthews, Casey McNatt. Hi, Devin. Casey's been a patron. They get all tossed together sometimes. Brandy Brown, Beth Eppright, Samantha Andrasco, Tobito, I believe. And just today, David McNiff. So welcome to all of you delightful people. Thank you for becoming patrons. And a couple of you signed up for the $10 tier, so you will be getting a postcard in August. I got my postcard today. Yay! Did I tell you that? Yeah. Yeah, you did earlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this postcard that I sent out for July was the don't shame people, judge them silently as God intended. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Steve was actually like, because I didn't see it when I got home, he got the mail. And when he came home later, he was like, hey, did you see your postcard? He was all excited. Oh, that's adorable. It's really fun. Like, people are sharing photos of their unspoiled postcard collections that they have, like on their fridges, or I think it's Erica White. I'm sorry if I'm giving credit to Erica when it was not Erica, but I think it was Erica who clips them with paper, with clothespins to a clothesline that she has hung in front of the fireplace.
Joyce, I think, that does that.
Oh, was it Joyce? Oh, okay.
I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that is such a cute idea. I really like that. That might be something that I start to do myself once I have way more, and have them like along the ceiling, like, you know what I mean? Like kind of a garland in my office. Right now I have them on one of those boards that has the crisscrossing ribbons, and you tuck them in there. But there's going to be way too many for that, and that won't take long. So
yeah,
I'm going to have to figure out something.
I take mine, put them up at the cubicle at work, so maybe I'll take a picture of them at the desk where I die a little every day.
Oh, God. The way that you said "where I die," it made me think of Professor Binns. Like, it's just happening. It's just happening, but really, really slowly.
That's sort of accurate, though.
Right? Thank you guys all so much for listening. We love you dearly. I don't want to forget this. The GoFundMe. We have a couple of new donors. Oh, I can't believe I was like, I know I'm forgetting something. What the fuck? So to the new donors, thank you so much. We have Emily Daniel, who says, have a magical time. Allison and Steven San Juan, and Katie Bishop all made donations, but Allison, Steve, and Katie didn't leave messages. But yeah, thank you all so much. You guys have been super generous. We're at $1,530.
That's bananas.
Yeah. So I'm having all
excited.
Automatically deposited into this like special bank account that I'm not touching. And I sent Rashawn the screenshot of it the other day and was like, look at our trip fund.
Oh my God.
Just like,
I can't wait.
I'm super excited.
I can't wait. The last hurdle was like getting the time off approved new job. Mm-hmm. And now that I got that today, it's like, that's it. It's done deal. This is happening.
Oh,
People, this is happening. I'm so excited. And I very rarely ever get excited because I have a hard rule about excitement.
That it only leads to heartache.
But I'm super stoked about this. I can't wait to see everybody. I think it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I'm like really more and more people are telling me that they're going to make it, or that they live around there and they're going to try and come for like a day or so. I'm just like stoked about it. And for those who are like interested in doing like being there for the live like recording that Rashawn and I are planning on doing, where we're going to watch the first movie over again and have it paired up with Wizard People, Dear Readers, which if you haven't listened to that is on YouTube, and you should, because it's hilarious. And then we're going to record live. That's going to be on the following Saturday, because we're getting a 3-day park ticket. So we have to do all 3 days at the park, and then we'll do the recording on Saturday, and then we're leaving Sunday morning. So that's how that's going to go. And the park day is going to be the 29th, because we arrive on the 28th. So we're going to spend most of our day at Harry Potter World on the 29th, and then do the rest of the 2 parks the day after. And then the 3rd day is going to be at the water park, which is brand spanking new. So that should be interesting. And there was something else I was going to add to that. I don't remember what it was. That's going to make me crazy. I know I'm forgetting something. But yeah, that's the basic setup. And I'm really excited because I didn't realize it, but the 3 broomsticks is where I ate when I went the first time, because that's in Hogsmeade, and the Diagon Alley side wasn't open. But on the Diagon Alley side, they have the Leaky Cauldron, and the Leaky Cauldron does breakfast. And their breakfast is like the British breakfast with like the grilled tomato and the beans and the like sausage and bacon and eggs and like it's enormous. And so you guys better know that on the 29th we're getting up early and going to get Leaky Cauldron breakfast, and that is fucking happening, people. So be there or be sorry, because you aren't getting an awesome British breakfast. I love British breakfast. I don't know why we don't do grilled tomato here. Tomato with eggs is the best.
It is. I don't know about the beans though. I'm gonna have to take a pass on that. But everything else sounds good.
Beans on the egg on top of the toast, like that together. That's something that my dad used to do a lot, being Colombian. I think it's just, a Hispanic thing to have beans with eggs sometimes, and it's super good.
Right.
It's yummy.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Especially because they don't do those nasty baked beans. They're not those sweet beans.
I think in my head they're baked beans. They're like the kind of beans you eat with rice. And I'm just like, no, I don't want that.
Baked beans are gross.
They really are. I'm not a fan.
They're always at these barbecues and stuff that we go to down here, and I'm just like, why are you doing this to me?
That's a different type of barbecue. That's a barbecue. I go to cookout.
That's true, huh? Yeah. And Rashawn, am I invited? Am I invited to the
I would invite you, but I don't want to get dragged on social media for sending an invitation to you to the cookout. So.
Oh, I just love that that's always a thing. All right.
You can come to the cookout as long as you don't bring potato salad.
Oh, right, because my potato salad has olive oil in it, and nobody wants that.
Oh.
That's not true, guys. I swear, that's not true.
Probably got grapes and walnuts and shit in that.
Do you know what I make my potato salad with bacon in it?
That's okay.
It's really good.
I'll allow that.
Anyway, sorry, potato salad. Don't know where we got on this topic. Sorry, guys. But thank you all again for listening. Thank you so much for donating. You guys are just like, you're the best. You're the best listeners.
You really are.
Just flat out.
You guys really are.
And, I know what it was that I was almost missed was it's not in stone, so don't hold me to this, but there's a possibility Rashawn and I may be doing Philly Podcast Festival next year.
I know, it's so exciting. It's early stages.
Or very early, because they only just finished the 2017 festival. So it's, but if you live in that area, and you don't already follow Philly Podcast Festival on social media, you may want to do that so that you can get some updates on tickets and stuff.
If you live in this area and you haven't let me know that you live in this area, I need you to reevaluate your life. Haven't you told me you live up here?
This is definitely going to be a thing where we record and then we go out and get drinks, like most definitely. And if I'm coming up for the podcast festival, I'm going to be coming up for more than one day. So there may be, another meetup. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm very excited, both at the prospect of doing the podcast festival, which I was scheduled to do the year that my marriage imploded. And then I had to cancel and just bail at the last second, which I felt really bad about because we had like a prime time. We had like 7 p.m. on a Saturday, like the time that you want. And I had to totally back out of it. And so I'm excited to basically I'm excited because I didn't think I'd still be around.
Yeah.
I pulled out of that and was just like,
and I was like, oh, I had tears.
No.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
It's just crazy. And when I emailed the guy and was like, hey, remember me? I thought it was all over. And it turns out I'm bigger and badder than ever. What's up? And it was a kind of incredible feeling to be able to write that because I had really thought that was just it. So I'm really excited about getting to do that. I think you have to get tickets to get in, but you don't pay for tickets. I think it's free. I think you just have to reserve your spot.
Yeah, I think you just go and register on the website or whatever, and they give you tickets for free.
Yeah, exactly. So Rashawn and I don't get paid for it or anything, but it's just a super fun event, and there's a ton. Yeah. This year, you said Harry Potter and the Sacred Text was there this year?
They were there. Yeah, they were there this past year.
And Flophouse was there, and Overdue was there. There's a lot of big shows and shows that I in particular really like. So to be in their company would be the coolest. And to get to visit Philly again after being gone for 3 years would be so awesome because I miss that city a lot.
I hope that there are people who listen in this area. I really don't know. I feel like most of the fans we interact with, most of the listeners on the group live elsewhere. So it would be really nice to find out that we have a pocket of listeners that are local to me.
Yeah.
Just because it would be nice to find, it would just be nice to be like, oh, you guys are from around here and you listen. Cool.
Yeah. And I mean, even if they're not in Philly, I was in Connecticut and I could get to Philly in 4 hours. Yeah. So if, it's not like we go on tour very much. If somebody really wants to go down, it's not that hard to get there. You could just take the train. That's the one nice thing about Philly is where it's positioned, is that it's easy to get to a lot of stuff from there.
Yeah. So DC people, we're looking at you too.
We're looking at you, Krista.
I didn't want to say no names. It's just the same names. Krista, I was exactly talking about you.
But yeah, I mean, and Maggie's right up in New York.
Yep.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of people up in that area, so that'd be cool. All right, guys. Well, it's just been a long one, so I'm sorry. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. We love you dearly. And we will see you next week. We only did 2 chapters this time. I think we're only going to do 2 chapters next week, too. So we'll see you next week with 2 more chapters. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.